Coming up on Varsity Sports, the winter sports season comes to a close in dramatic fashion. We've got the thrilling finishes to all the South Dakota Boys Basketball Championships and the North Dakota Boys B-side coming up next on Varsity Sports. Hello and welcome to Varsity Sports alongside Jason Andera. I'm Alex Heinert filling in for Jay Elson this week. And Jason, we've got 4 sets of championship highlights that are outstanding. A great way to wrap up the winter sports season.
Yeah, we cover 10 classes between girls and boys, North and South Dakota. These 4 games we had last Saturday night were all tremendous in their own right. In fact, 3 of them were even above that. They were outstanding. So looking forward to doing this particular show.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We're going to start in South Dakota with the AA. Let's go to the bracket and kind of see how we got to that thrilling finish coming up on Saturday nights.
You know, no huge upsets in this first round, and we knew there was the cream of the crop, those couple top seeds, and they did get through that first round. Second round, Lincoln with a huge scare, needed a bank in 3 at the end of regulation just to force a first overtime. They got into a second overtime with O'Gorman and somehow found their way to the title game playing against Washington, their nemesis, the team that had beaten them 3 straight times earlier this season.
Yeah, let's take a look at the highlights of the title game here. Like you said, Washington had those 3 wins by a combined 10 points. A lot of tight games. This one was no different for the Warriors. It started with their man Dangu on the inside.
Dangu leads their team in scoring for a reason, and he scored the first 6 points of this game. Such a wide first step, such a quick step to the basket, so hard to defend, and before you could blink, it was Dangu 6, Lincoln 0.
Caleb Johnson, though, just like he did in that semifinal, would bring Lincoln back. The shooters bounce off the rim. 17-14, Lincoln up by 3 at the end of the first quarter.
They were leading at the end of the first, even though it looked like Gu and his partners were getting it going right in the second quarter. You see Saganos from distance. You saw Dangu on the inside, and then Carter Keller with an outstanding tournament hits another 3-ball.
Yeah, Sioux Falls, Washington takes the 26-24 lead going into the break. The fans, well, I don't know what's going on there, but they're enjoying themselves. More Dangu here in the third quarter. So athletic to get to the rim.
He is so quick, and look at how pumped up he was. You usually don't see Gu quite that excited. The fans literally cannot believe it.
Ty Smith in the corner for 3. Warriors up 40-30 at the end of the third quarter. This thing looks like it's in control, but Dangu picks up his 4th foul and has to sit. Cue Caleb Johnson on the comeback.
This was his time to shine. I think he scored 3 buckets in the span of about a minute or so. You saw the 3-ball. You see the fast break right here. 6
steals on the night for the senior and the lay-in. That really changed the complexion of this ballgame. 43-38 Washington, now up by 5. Now we're tied at 43, and Addison Park start to take over.
Yeah, this is when the Lincoln really got control of the game, and it was because of Addison Park on the inside taking over not only on the offensive end, he would do it on the defensive end, and look at how pumped up he is. This was an electric environment, Alex.
Yeah, this was fun at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. Park with the big block. Lincoln now up 47-43 after a big run for them. 26 seconds left. It's now a 2-point ball game. Washington here breaking the huddle, a chance to tie this up. Sam Saganos with the jumper near the buzzer does not go. The tip from Gu does not fall either. And there's your ball game. An incredible comeback by Lincoln. They beat Washington for the first time in 4 tries this year to capture the state AA championship.
Timing is everything, not only in this game, but in the season. Lincoln peaking at the right time with their 5 seniors. You see the huge game put up by Caleb Johnson. Addison Park did a great job in crunch time. Credit the experience of this group, getting a first title since 2009. Great job by the Patriots. Let's hear what they had to say after the game.
I couldn't believe it happened. I mean, we were 10 down going into the fourth quarter. I just told the guys, hey, we're taking fantastic shots, weather the storm, come back out, keep shooting what you're shooting, keep playing the defense you did, and they started to knock some shots down in the fourth quarter, and it worked out pretty good.
No, we never have doubt. I mean, at halftime, our coach told us that the pressure's on them. They beat us 3 times in a row, so we just got to come out and play our own game, and luckily we got some defensive stops and got some scores, and we're right back in the game.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't even remember what even happened. It hasn't settled in yet. But I think we were down by 10. KJ hit a bunch of shots. Malik had a couple passes to me. I finally made my free throws. I finally went up by 2 and 1, so it was good.
Our coaching staff told us simply this: the time is now. The time is to step up and go right now. You got 5 seniors. It's time to do it, and that's what they did. That's what we did.
Great win for the Patriots.
It was go time. Malik Dunn said it, and they hit it in that fourth quarter. Outscored Washington 17-5 in that final period. Got to give them the credit. Lincoln came to play in the late period.
Yeah, a great way to start this show. Great highlights. We got more to come. Later on, we're going to bring you the highlights from the Four Winds Minnewacan rugby matchup. Would that live up to their great game they played in the regular season? But next, more from South Dakota, including a team that shot just 30% from the field for the tournament and still took home a title. We'll show you how they did it when we come back.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by AE Tech Electrical Training Center in Rapid City. Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Shields.
Welcome back. Well, Rapid City played host to the South Dakota State A boys basketball tournament this past weekend. Another great set of games out there at the Civic Center.
It was, as you can see in the first round of the bracket, not a lot of upsets once again, but you did see some good games in those semifinals again. And Roncalli survived the first couple rounds, shooting under 30% 2 times in those first 2 games and somehow still getting the win. And Del Rapids on the lower part of the bracket takes care of Mount Vernon Plankinton and pulled away late from winner to set up a rematch of a game that was played at the Hanson Classic just a month or so ago.
Let's take a look at the highlights. This was a good one, too, just like that one was. Roncalli started off going inside to their 6'8 senior, Zach Hamrick, for 2. Hamrick was big all night.
Yeah, he was getting better and better throughout the year. Really shined in this game.
Dells, though, their top scorer, Ty Hoagland, starts to take over a little bit. The floater in the lane for 2. More Hoagland here for 3. Dells would take the lead in the first quarter, 10-8 early. The Couriers, again, really feeling it from the outside. Zach Schumacher sinks this deep 3. After a little scramble here for you.
You know, the Couriers, a team not shy on taking these 3-pointers. Made a few early, but ended up shooting 36 threes in this game.
Incredible. They would go 8 of 36. That's 22%. And that got Aberdeen Roncalli back into this ballgame. Braden McNary, how about a 3 of his own?
He was not self-proclaimed, didn't have his best tournament, but hit a couple shots when they needed him.
Yeah, this was a close game at the half, 26-21. Roncalli up, Hamrick on the inside, getting it going again. He'd have 17 points off the miss there. And again, Daniel Holmstrom adding this J from the baseline, 42-29, starting to get out of hand a little bit.
Yeah, great inside-outside mix, but you see right there, they've got their own 6'8 guy, Ben Hammer, with the rejection, starts the break, and this started a little run for Del Rapids to get him close late in the game.
Yeah, Couriers hanging around. Riley Schmidt, the floater in the lane. Zach Schumacher here coming up, spinning it off the glass, and on the nice drive here. Man, that's a great take.
Yeah, against the 6'8 guy, found a way to sink it, and then decides to pass to his buddy Riley Schmidt. Yeah. And all of a sudden, we've got a close game.
Yeah, it's a 2-point ball game, 50-48. Schmidt finished with 12 on the night for Dells. Fans fired up. The comeback is on, but Zach Hamrick, again on the inside. When they needed a big bucket, that was the guy they went to. And the Cavaliers finish off Del Rapids 53-50 for the victory.
He really had an outstanding tournament. He's a guy that wasn't getting a lot of looks at college levels before the season started. After this state tournament, I think he's going to get noticed a little bit. Anyway, great performance by Roncalli. First title in 40 years. Let's hear from the Cavaliers.
Yeah, you know, this team, we kind of have a little bit of everything. We had a big guy, and we had some guys that could shoot it, and we were pretty athletic. And you always feel like you got an opportunity to do something. And this team had kind of all the pieces that we thought needed to go deep into the playoffs. So we feel pretty fortunate to have this group of kids, and they've been around a while. They've been on the varsity since freshmen. So, you know, they've been around and been to a couple state tournaments.
It feels good to win. I mean, it sucks it's all over because I don't get to play with these guys. I had so much fun. Making the team, ultimate team, is just small things to what the real big thing is that we won the state tournament.
Well, a great win for Roncalli. You could see, again, the coach talking about how this is an experienced team that's been together for a long time. Even when Del Rapids was making that run, that experience really paid off.
They've had so many good teams over these last couple of years, just haven't been able to put it together at the state tournament. And despite shooting 30.5% for the entire tournament, their defense came up big and got in people's faces, and they've got so many great defenders on this team. Pair that with some clutch shots, and the Cavaliers find themselves on the top of Class A.
Yeah, great win for Roncalli. Next up, we're going to take a look at a team that found themselves in a 1-point game and 2 overtime games on their way to a state title. The highlights from the South Dakota State Bees are coming up next.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by AE Tech Electrical Training Center in Rapid City. Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Shields.
back. Well, this week we're bringing you the highlights from the championships, but remember to tune in next week when we have our Players of the Year special. That's next Wednesday at 8:30. We'll select our choices for the best player in each of the 10 classes that we cover, something you will not want to miss.
I think you're going to see a lot of these guys on the highlights from today in that Player of the Year special. But first, let's take a look at the bracket and see how these B teams got to the final game on Saturday. You see in the first round, the number 1 team loses in the first game of the tournament. Hitchcock-Tulare with a big upset, followed by Hanson eking out a win over Wolsey Wessington, a team that had not lost prior to that game. So you had a couple of teams in the semis that you weren't familiar with, and then you had a couple overtime games in the semis to set up what would be a tremendous matchup in the finals.
It seems like this Class B always throws up stuff like this.
This was
a great tournament up at Wax Arena in Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the highlights here of this title game. Hanson, Langford area, 2 teams that are familiar with success, and it was Langford getting started early. Brent Ogren with 2 for the Lions. But Hanson would come right back. Aaron Menandi with the jump shot. The Beavers would lead 11-8 early on.
Yeah, they only hit 31% from the field from 2, hit 39% from 3. So they actually shot better from beyond the arc. But you see Bo Freeze, he made a shot when he needed to.
Yeah, tough game for him shooting, just 2 of 18 from the field, but doing stuff like this, finding Chance Olsen for the layup on the fast break. Freeze, by the way, 11 boards, 5 assists on the night. Hanson, though, a strong charge at the end of the half. Wenandi there for 3. They would lead 17-16 at the break after this Sam Vanderstow layup.
Yeah, a gutty performance by Vanderstow. Every time they needed a huge hoop, he would come through. This is kind of what epitomizes the Hanson Beavers, getting those big gritty hoops when they need them.
Yeah, big 3 there by Vanderstow. And then Jordan Marquardt, 3 points. This kid can really shoot, and he was on tonight at the Barnett Center.
Yeah, he leads the team at about 20 points per game and came up huge in the finals.
Langford, though, hanging around. Bo Freeze over to C.J. Steiner for a big 3. Langford up late, but Taylor Nichols in the paint, forcing overtime with the big bucket and the foul.
Timing. I mean, this guy had 1 field goal on the game, and that was the one to put him in overtime.
36-36 at the end of regulation, and how about again, Jordan Marquardt, he was 6 of 10 from 3, 19 points, 9 boards. That lifted Hanson. C.J. Steiner, though, right back. He was 6 of 14 from 3.
And he only knew how to shoot 3-pointers on this game. All
18 points, all from distance, but Marquardt right back with a triple of his own. And that was the dagger with about a minute to go as Hanson capturing the Class B championship in overtime over Langford area. What a great game.
I think they were even surprised going into games, game after game, coming down to the last shot and being able to pull it out every time. What a job by the Beavers. It just goes to show, you played this tournament a few other times, you might have a few other results, but in this case, Hanson stepped up, took the title home. Let's hear from the Beavers.
I couldn't get much going, but it really does mean a lot, and for what work I do put in for the team, it finally paid off for that one moment. And that one moment was a pivotal part of the game, and it's an amazing feeling, and now we're state champions because of it.
I don't know, I trust ourselves, and I was confident our guys could come down and make the big shots, and
couldn't have done it without them. They all made plays. Jared Zenz and Sam Stow made huge free throws at the end, and we were able to seal the deal.
I don't know how I'm feeling right now, other than I'm so happy for these kids. I'm so happy for our community. What an experience to have the 3 games that we had, a 1-point game, a 2-point game, and now a 3-point game, 2 overtime games. Just so happy for my kids right now.
Yeah, what a run for the Beavers. Again, the 5 seed all the way. Going up against Wolsey Wessington, winning an overtime game in the semifinals and another OT game in the championship game. What can you say about the Beavers?
Just 4 losses on the year, and a couple of those you kind of wondered, I don't know, are they a serious contender? They got to this field, and they were serious contenders. All the credit in the world to that entire starting 5, and Coach Oltmans has really taken that level of play up at Hanson since he's been there. So congratulations. What a job by the 5 seed to go all the way.
Always crazy in Class B. Later in the show, we're going to look back to Jandy's preseason picks and compare them to the results that actually unfolded.
Hanson might not be there, just to tell you.
Next up, though, we've got one more title game to show you. Brad Heidelbaugh put on a show in Bismarck, and we got the highlights to prove it coming up next.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by AE Tech Electrical Training Center in Rapid City. Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Shields.
Oh, welcome back to Varsity Sports on Midco.
Welcome back. Well, the North Dakota State Bees were as popular as ever this year. They packed people into the Bismarck Civic Center, and those folks who showed up were treated to 3 great days of hoops.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people come out for the Bees, and the Civic Center was rocking, and they were treated, as you said, to some great games. An overtime game in the bracket you see at the bottom. Lemoore LM got on a roll at the end of the season and took out New England in an overtime game, but the matchup we all kind of wanted to see in the semis happened. It was Rugby and Oak Grove, a battle, a rematch actually of last year's title game, but this time Rugby gets the better of them and faces the #1 team in the state, Four Winds Minnewacan, in the finals.
Yeah, great matchup in the title game. Let's go to the highlights. They do it right in Bismarck. Look at these intros here for Brad Heidelbaugh and Rugby. The Panthers got it going early, and it was Heidelbaugh leading the way up 14-3 right out of the gate. This kid, the catalyst right off the bat.
He needed no time to warm up. Before he could blink, he already had sank a couple shots, and of course the other senior, Tanner Bernhardt, sliced his way to the hoop to get a couple.
Really nice night for Bernhardt, 14 points. Heidelbaugh not done just yet. Again, getting to the rim, getting fouled, and getting to the line. Again, 14-3 early. Things looking good for Rugby after a championship game defeat a year ago. But Four Winds, though, sticking around. The sophomore, Jonas McKay, with a long 2.
Yeah, the defense designed to stop Trayvon McKay, not Tronis. And look at that. He hit a couple shots from the outside. Before you know it, they're working their way back into this thing.
16 points on the night for McKay. But again, Heidelbaugh on the rebound, going coast to coast here. Closing the quarter on a little bit of a run, 16-8, an 8-point advantage for Rugby going through the first quarter.
Yeah, then we got an interesting play right here. Look at that, the hustle on the block on one end, comes all the way back down. Oh, he doesn't quit on the play. Double block play.
Nolan Hovland there on the swat for Rugby, getting the best of Jonas McKay. But again, at the other end, Four Winds keeps working. Oliver Gore taking on the double team in the post. That gives the Indians their first lead, 18-17. Jason Feather with the leaner. The Indians, though, down 25-20 at the half, and then Brad Heidelbaugh just took it to another level.
I didn't know there was another level after his great start, but he sinks 5 hard field goals in a row for Rugby. The degree of difficulty, not easy. Look at the step-back jumper there. Goes against a couple of guys in the lane. Just finds his way in on defense. Swats one out of there. Heidelbaugh, that's as high of a level as I've seen in high school in a long time.
23.7 boards for Heidelbaugh. It was 41-30 at the end of 3. Four Winds, though, would come back. Trayvon McKay with his only bucket of the ball game. Jason Feather with that 3 makes it 46-40. We had a ball game on our hands, but Rugby able to make their free throws late and seal this thing as the Sea of Orange storms the court up in Bismarck. 54-40 your final. Rugby, your champions this year.
There were a couple times that Rugby could have let Four Winds back into this game. This is a team that averages 80 points a game, held them to 40 points, and they'll talk about it right here. Talk about how the defense won this championship for them.
I think we jumped on them early in the game, and then we got a little stagnant going into halftime. So at halftime, we tried to make a few adjustments to get back on the floor and attack the basket a little more with a pick and roll with Brad and Zach, and we were able to do that, and Brad got some nice buckets on the way to the hoop, so just worked out great for us.
Well, this means a lot. Last year we lost it, but we knew we'd come back and win it this year. It means a lot to our community.
We knew we had to give our all. Defense was key to winning this game. They're a really good scoring team, and if we play defense and we run our offense, we were going to win.
Last year we came up short, and that was just terrible, and now we get to bring it home to them, and that's what the best part of winning this is.
And we held a team that scores over 80 points a game to 40 points, and that's monumental. Got to hand it to these boys out here. They deserved it.
Just to keep playing hard, keep plugging away. We knew that if we played good defense, we were going to get scores on the other end. So we just had to keep going.
You think defense was an emphasis? All those guys talking about how that was the key to their victory.
And it was. They held one of the best players in the state, Trayvon McKay, to 1 field goal. And you add on top of that the kind of game that Brad Heidelbaugh had, and that's the formula for winning. They did not want to have happen what happened last year when they got to end of the game situation. They kept pulling away whenever Four Winds would decrease that margin. Congratulations to the Panthers.
Yeah, what a great win. Rugby moving on, the State B champs. Well, next up, we're going to check in on Jay and Jandy's season-long prediction competition. We're also going to take a look back at the preseason rankings to see how our champions stacked up then compared to now.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by AE Tech Electrical Training Center in Rapid City. Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Shields.
Welcome back. Well, Jason Andera, you and Jay Elson fought this out all season with your picks. It's time to take a look at the final results and how you did.
Well, much like 4 wins Minnewacan, Jay was nipping at my heels, but it was always kind of a comfortable lead for me, and I took it into championship week with a nice lead, and I exited with a 5-point win.
Well done, sir. 40-35, the final standings. Now, we started this thing at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Jason and Jay both make their preseason predictions, and we have those here in what was a sealed envelope. Again, it says do not open until March 2015. It's March 2015,
You
so we
can
have a
vouch
chance.
for me. That has been on my desk, not touched.
Everybody in the office has been looking at this thing all year. But again, he did a great job of holding on to it. We got the results from what these guys said at the beginning of the year, and let's take a look at how things shook down. In South Dakota, Sioux Falls Lincoln right on the money, preseason number 1.
Yeah.
Ron Colley and Hanson, though, did not crack the top 5. Jason.
Okay, well, they were both at number 6. There was no number 6, so I didn't get those two into the mix. But just to be fair, I didn't see any other rankings that had either one of those two teams in it either.
Sure, absolutely. Let's move on to the girls' side in South Dakota. Pretty solid there. Washington, again, a choice at number 2. St. Thomas More, the obvious choice in Class A at number 1. And then also with Ethan at number 3. You were right in the mix in each of those.
I do have to say, again, I had Washington a little higher than most people. I wasn't believing it about a month ago, but I did have them up there. And Ethan also were in my top 5, where I didn't see them in anybody else's top 5 at the beginning of the year. So.
Yeah, some bold choices here that paid off. On the North Dakota side, just money on the boys' side. Minot, rugby, boom, 2 for 2.
Well, yeah, these were not hard picks, just to be honest. I mean, the sports writers up there also had those as number 1 teams. But it's hard to stay number 1 all season,
that's right.
And that's what Minot did. They had 1 week where they fell off, but for the most part, they were right at the top.
North Dakota girls, same kind of thing. Shanley, Bishop Ryan, top from wire to wire.
Those could have been the easiest picks in the history of Varsity Sports. And, Shanley, 2 top players are both juniors, so let's just go ahead and pencil them at number 1 next week.
Already looking ahead, Jason Andera. Well, hey, for Jason Andera, I'm Alex Steiner. Thanks for watching this week. Lots of great Varsity Sports coming up in the spring, beginning next week.